Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Salt and Burn This. My name is Sammy.
I'm Valerie.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas! Of course, when
Although it'd
people
been
hear this.
several weeks since Christmas. But
Right?
anyway,
I had a very good Christmas. I mean, not
yeah.
like gift-wise, not like, hey,
Uh-huh.
I got you. It was just a nice Christmas because
Mm-hmm.
actually all the families stayed with their relative families. So my sister had her Christmas, my other sister had her Christmas, my brother has his Christmas, and I just went down to my parents. So it's just my parents and I.
Ah, so you
Um,
mean it was like nice because it was a small, like, calm Christmas. Yes.
Yes. Yes, indeed. And despite the frantic of, supply chain, will there be gifts arriving on time?
Mm-hmm.
We actually set out and did things early.
Mm.
So all of our gifts, got to where they needed to go. And, for the most part, it was great as opposed to, oh, I got to you this great thing, but it's not going to get here because, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was really nice. And my folks had a Christmas dinner with a couple friend of theirs,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just pleasant company. It wasn't too many people. It's just one other couple, and
Wow, very
they
good.
did that whole, hey, look at the time, we
Yep.
gotta go walk the dog, and we were
Uh-huh.
like, okay, bye, Merry Christmas, and
Yep.
that was great. So it was
That's
nice. How about
awesome.
you?
It was good too. Yeah, it was pleasant. Same for me as far as gift wise. I didn't really order anything online. I did either everything in store or I had I hadn't sent my Italy souvenirs yet to my family, so those
Oh.
turned into Christmas presents, which was nice because I was like, "Great, it's already done."
How convenient.
It was.
My sister called me. She went on a trip to Aruba with her best friend,
Uh-huh.
and she called me and said, "Oh my gosh, your favorite author is there's a new book out." And I said, "Oh, I would love to have that book on my shelf."
Mhm.
And so I ended up she gave it to me for Christmas, which was great. But I wanted to get her the book in return, but she
Oh.
likes the Kindle. She likes to, do the Kindle
Mhm.
books and stuff. But because she was so jazzed up when she was telling me about this book, I'm like, she probably bought the book for herself in that moment. And it turns out she did. So
She
I'm
did.
glad I didn't get her the Kindle. Yeah. Yeah.
Is this the lady that always has the numbers in the title?
No, although I do love
Oh.
that's Janet
Oh, okay.
Ivanovich.
Yes,
No,
okay.
it's the Outlander series. It's Diana Gabaldon.
Oh. Mhm.
The book that's out that she just released is the second to last book. It is going to be the second to last book in the series. It all started out as a
Mm.
trilogy, and now like 8 books later.
Wow.
you know? So yes, Outlander has a new book out. So. But cheers.
Oh, yes.
I saw you had some wine.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Do.
So for Christmas, Julie bought me ugly sweater, ugly sweater brand wine, and it is ugly wine. I mean, I'll drink it and I love it, but it is not good
But
wine. It is not good.
not a repurchase brand, not one to
No.
put in your photo album of wine I like.
Yes, exactly. It'll go with my vampire wine. It'll just be my holiday bottle out on the shelf wine, not
Yeah.
go and get this wine.
I got the one thing that I really, really wanted. It was like the only thing I put in. It was like, this is the only thing I want on my list. And that was some nice, you can't tell, but really nice, high quality Bluetooth
Earbuds.
wireless earbuds. They're the Beats Fit
Oh,
Pro or something.
yeah.
Because I was so tired of getting these like knockoff brand ones being like, it's fine. No, they're not fine. I can never figure out the pattern of like what plays and pauses and everything because each ear is
Does
different.
something different. Yep.
Or I have to physically shut the Bluetooth off of my laptop before I can connect it to my phone because it can't connect to two things at once.
And you can't figure out which one you want.
Right. And they're such a pleasure. They're just like, oh, I'm
Oh,
connected to both the laptop and my phone right now at the same time, and I didn't have to do anything, and it's not gonna like screw
wow.
anything up. And I know
Nice.
it's a very simple pattern. It's just like
Hmm.
one press does pretty much everything except go forward. or backward. And it does this really cool thing where if you hold and press, it will switch in between noise canceling and something called like transparency mode, where it
Mm-hmm.
almost amplifies or maybe microphones the people talking around you, because you can still hear the music, but you can very clearly hear other people talking to you as well. It's
Wow.
so, like, when I first did it, I was like, ooh.
Nice. Next thing you know, you're going to start listening to those. What are those recordings that people like because it like stimulates your ears because of the sound? It's like
Oh,
when people.
ASMR.
Yes, you're going to
Ugh.
start listening to
No,
those
I'm not.
now.
I hate ASMR. I've tried it. It makes me like want to
Is it
throw
oogie?
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, shall we get started on this freaking sad as hell episode?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
Mhm.
Happy New Year.
Season 2, episode 17. Heart.
I'm gonna leave it at that. A mauled body with its heart missing. The Winchester brothers know that means one thing: a werewolf. And tonight the moon is full. Can they save a lovely girl from being the next gruesome fatality? Written by Sarah Gamble and directed by Kim Manner.
And knocked out of the park.
Yeah. I did
Knocked out
not
of the park.
want to watch this again. Like, I remember it being sad even before, like, once I read the synopsis, I was like, oh god, I know exactly
It's
what
this one.
episode this is. And then I watched it and I was like, it's even sadder than I remember. And then I had to watch it again to take my freaking notes. I was like, I don't want to don't make me do this. Please don't make me do this.
I remember the reveal. So,
Yeah.
like, when I saw what this was, I was like, oh, yes, I remember how this is. I did not remember the ending. So, when the ending happened, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I literally was like, oh, is there another chapter? Did I miss?
It's also, I think, especially sad because, and spoiler alert, well, I will not reveal the ending. The thing is, in a show about supernatural beasties that has lasted 15 seasons, werewolves are not, like, this is not a one-off episode of werewolves, right? They come back.
Yeah.
And the canon turns into something different. So you watch this, and it's like, this is not the only outcome. What are you talking about?
Right? In the moment.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, oh man. Or even having watched like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where Seth Green is a vampire and they just lock him in a cage during the full moon. They're like, all right, that's how we deal with that. You know?
Yep, they figured it out. Yep.
Yep.
And they all take turns watching him, depending on what the night is.
Okay.
So had they only watched Buffy,
right,
they would have known.
Just get yourself a library with a cage in it. You'll be fine.
Maybe they just were in the wrong town. Although San Francisco probably does have a library with a cage in it.
Probably. All right. Speaking of San Francisco, I don't have any MapQuest moments with San Francisco. I've never been.
Oh, well, having lived in LA
true.
for
That's
20
not
years.
true. That's not true.
Oh.
I did go on a trip. He was there to see an opera. I did not go to the opera with him. Instead, I went to the Museum of Ice Cream, which I thought was going to be way cooler than it was.
No.
It sucked. It was just one of those stupid Instagram things. Like, you pay $40 to go take cool Instagram photos because it's got like really cool backdrops or props and things. I was like, this is so lame. I literally wanted to learn about ice cream, and there were like three facts splattered around about ice cream.
Oh, that sucks.
It totally sucked.
That sucks.
But San Francisco, very, very cool place.
Did you at least ride the trolley car?
Yes, we rolled a trolley car, went by the beach, and walked the boardwalks. And
did you go and get some sourdough at the pier?
I don't remember. I wasn't there very long. It was like a weekend, like a long weekend, and that was it. So
one of my favorite things, I've been in San Francisco a million times just because, again, lived in LA for 20 years. So the drive up the coast is pretty easy. I mean, it's still like a 7-hour drive, but
Yeah.
once you're on your way, you're on your way.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things is on the pier, there's all those little like shops and bistros and things like that. Inside, I think it's Pier 54. There's a cheese shop called the Cowgirl Creamery.
Uh-huh.
And it makes the most amazing cheese. I found some of it here. Like they've actually gotten big enough that like Whole Foods has picked up some of their cheeses. And I just love it because their logo is like a cowgirl on a horse, with her hat in the air.
Yeah.
And it's Cowgirl Creamer. I just love it. Great cheese, great store, great marketing. Shout out if you want to sponsor us, Cowgirl Creamery. I've run across the Golden Gate Bridge, which was one of my bucket list things, was to run the bridge. Cool. Yeah. And honestly, while it's really cool, it is so windy that there's like a little bit of a fear factor involved. Oh. Like, am I just going to get like foofed right off the bridge?
Oh God.
I mean, it just kind of gives you that feeling because especially when there's parts of the bridge where you're running over and it is just grates, it's so you can look down. Oh. Yeah. I have a good time in San Francisco. It's just not an easy city to navigate just because of traffic,
right,
and stuff like that. So, but I love San Francisco.
We open up without a recap again. There's no then and now. Again, I thought that it's like, did it automatically skip over? Nope. This is a fully packed episode because they even use the teaser as part of the episode.
That's right, because it kind of this one did do the whole like monster happens before the boys are involved.
Sure.
Thing.
Yes. But I guess because they then, the girl that's like the focus of the teaser, Madison, she then is just in the episode the entire time. She's like basically a third lead for this episode.
Yeah. Love her.
Oh, I did too.
Love her. Emmanuel Vaugier.
Yes.
Probably killing her last name, but I think it's Vaugier. She was great. I was like, I know her, but specifically I didn't know her. I think maybe I knew her from this episode, honestly.
Maybe. Yeah.
Because she was on like CSI New York and 2.5 Men, but I didn't recognize her from those shows.
No, but she's also been in like a ton of like supernatural and horror type things.
Oh, okay.
Which is how she got this gig. Because like Kripke knew her from like a couple of things, but
oh, okay.
I don't know her from those because I didn't really watch horror movies, but she was in a couple of the Saw movies.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, she was fabulous and gorgeous and quirky and cute and love her.
Yeah. She was kind of like the girl next door, but it's like without being, she wasn't too casual.
No, she wasn't like an ingenue either.
Right.
She wasn't that like, oh, save me.
Yeah, no, she was her own person, but she was this really cool person. And yes, loved her.
Yes. So anyway, she is at a bar with some of her girlfriends. They're having a good time. It's probably after work, happy hour. And one of her, we assume a coworker, comes up to her and starts terribly hitting on her. And like, oh, we both need to go back to the office late tonight to go sign some paperwork.
We gotta send those things off. Yeah.
And she's not falling for it. She's like, okay, right. Keep going. Keep trying. Try again.
But at least he admits it. He's like, this isn't working, is it?
Yeah.
She's like, no. In fact, I've already called you a cab. Yeah.
Not
tonight.
Tonight.
See you tomorrow. But all smiles,
Yes.
not being a jerk and not being a mom, just like, nope, all taken care of. So the boss leaves. He's like, strike.
Yep.
Strike out. So he leaves with no more fuss. But as what's the character's name? Madison.
Yes.
The girl. As Maddie's watching her boss leave, she sees this guy sitting in a bar just looking at her. He's like in the bar and he's at a table and he's just looking at her, and he's kind of this scruffy looking guy. And he's not just looking at her, he's like staring at her.
Yeah.
No expression on his face, just like looking directly at her.
Yeah.
And she turns away and looks back, and then he's gone. And I think Maddie's a little freaked out by that. So she's like, you know what? I'm gonna go. So she calls it a night with her friends and heads out to her car. And of course, this is like typical scary movie setup, you know, girl by herself walking to her car, walking at a clipped pace, you know, like I got to get to my car. And then there's like, do I hear something? And she hears a noise, you know, and, oh, it's just a dog, you know, knocking over a garbage can. Gets in her car with no incident and drives away. Which, of course, that whole time I'm like expecting something to you know, leap out at her.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't. But as she drives away, out comes creepy guy from the shadows and watches her drive away.
Yes.
You know,
that she same look on his face. Yeah, she doesn't see him, but yeah. And then it's the next morning. She's back at the office. She's making coffee, you know, filling up the coffee pot. But then she clocks something on the wall in front of her, and she stops filling up the coffee pot. There's a giant blood smear on the door, and the door is ajar. And she can kind of peek and see a hand like hanging off the table, all bloody as well. She slowly approaches, she opens the door, and then sees said boss man who had been, you know, poorly flirting with her the night before, sprawled on the table, slashed, bloody,
to ribbons.
And scene.
And scream. Scream. Insert scream and title splash.
Yes.
Yeah. And so the next scene we see is their Sam and Dean are in the morgue with the body, with the torn to shreds body.
Oh, it's just Sam. It's just Sam with the lady. Yes, and she's pulling out the body, and she's like, "Well, we don't know what attacked him," and he's like, "Come on now, off the record. What do you think it is?" Well, off the record. I would call it a wolf. Right. But I'm just going to say it's a pit bull because
I want to keep my job.
Yeah.
So I have to point out this actress who is playing the coroner.
Yeah.
Her name's Terrell Rothery.
Uh-huh.
And she is from Stargate SG-1.
Oh my God,
surprising, but she had a huge character on that show. So she was almost from start to finish character on the show. She played Doc Frazier. So she was the compound's medical doctor. So she took care of all the heroes when they got, you know, shot up on other planets and stuff like that. And she was great.
I had a haircut very similar to hers for a very long time. The flippy out, you know.
Yes, little Batgirl flips.
Oh, yes. I called it the Josie and the Pussycats haircut because Rachel Lee Cook and that had that haircut.
I always wanted that flippy flip, but my hair wouldn't do it. So I'm a little jealous of you in the past.
You know who else was from Stargate?
In this episode?
Yes.
No.
Oh my God.
Wait, I missed it.
I'm so happy right now.
All right. Well, you're going to tell me. I'm going to be like, oh, yes, I knew that. But maybe I didn't. Go ahead.
Creepy guy.
What?
Yep. Patrick Curry is his name.
Oh my
Patrick
gosh.
Curry.
He's an amazing character actor. Now, this is why I didn't recognize him, because he's the character who always does the prosthetic makeup on the shows, like as an alien.
He's listed as Fifth. That's his name on Stargate.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. No, I know exactly this, but he's always in prosthetics. Oh, wait. No, I'm lying to you. That's an absolute lie. Patrick Curry. Oh my God, he's Fifth. He played one of the biggest nemesis on the show. He was quote a replicator. Ooh. I didn't recognize him at all. Oh, Sammy for the win. Wow. See, I'm also trying to be quiet in my room, but wow, good catch. I didn't look him up. I did not look him up. And I'm so glad I didn't, because you would have been like, Valerie, enough with the Stargate. So I find it interesting that I've been fooled by two different hairstyles now. Like I didn't recognize the woman from Roadkill as being Cylon
Oh,
5.
yeah, yeah.
Because she had blonde hair as a Cylon, but was a brunette on. And apparently Patrick Curry had curly hair on Stargate, so I couldn't possibly recognize him with straight hair on Supernatural. Doesn't say much for my super observant skills that I pride myself on.
All right. Moving on. So Detective Sam is in the morgue still with this Stargate lady.
Yes.
And she says it's probably a wolf, but gonna say a pit bull. And he's like, well, let me guess. The heart was also missing? And she's like, yeah, how did you know?
How'd you know that? Lucky guess.
Yes.
It's not the first time they've said lucky guess.
I know.
So no heart. I find it interesting though that like Supernatural at this point hasn't reached the level of gore where they would show us like a gaping chest cavity.
Right.
I mean, yes, the guy when he was, slaughtered on his desk in the office was pretty bloody.
Yeah.
But we haven't gotten quite that gory.
Yeah.
Yet.
Like So now they're back at the motel. Dean is like packing up weaponry because they already know what it is.
Missing heart.
Several bodies being found around the time of the lunar cycle each month, all with missing hearts. Werewolf, woo! Dean is
we know how to do
excited.
It.
Yes, that's why I was just like, A, he's stoked it's a werewolf because they haven't seen one since they were kids, and B, they already know what to do with a werewolf.
Yep.
Like very cut and dry.
Yeah, silver bullets. Look, we even have the silver bullets right here.
Yes.
So there's a couple of outtakes on this scene, which I loved because it starts out with because like during this whole scene, Jensen's sitting on the bed like cleaning, like field cleaning or field stripping one of his guns and getting ready to like stuff like that, and Sam is telling him his discoveries. Jensen missed his lines, and Jared makes fun of him for that. And he's like, every time you mess up your lines, I have to stand up and sit down over and over, and Jensen's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Why don't you deal with all the millions of props that I have to deal with and get your lines? Like, he's like, what do you have to do? Just open a beer, And Jared's like, well, yeah. So they do the scene again. And the next time they do it, Jared can't open the beer. So he gets to that point and Jared, he's like, can't get it, cut. Then the next thing you see is they're doing the scene again. And Jensen has now since broken the gun that he was working with. He went to just cock the slide, I think, just do that pullback. And he went, he's like, I broke it. So just back and forth, each one of them, while busting each other's balls, ended up then messing up themselves. And he's broken. So those are my outtakes. So when I saw the scene come up, I was like, oh, I love these outtakes. I love the scene just for the outtakes. What's the next thing we do? Let's go talk to the witness who found the body. So, and that's Maddie. So they decide to go track down Maddie. they go and find her, and their aliases are still detectives. Yes. Because Sam was a detective, but they didn't say his name. And their detectives, the way they introduce themselves this time is Detective Landis and Detective Dante.
Yes.
Dante, I didn't know, but Landis, I did know. And so what is it? Joe Dante directed The Howling, and John Landis directed American Werewolf in London. Yes. But also directed Thriller, Michael Jackson's Thriller that had a werewolf in it. And if you get a chance, put this on your list of movies that you and I have said you need to see. If you haven't seen it, American Werewolf in London, put it on your list because it is so good.
Really?
It is so good. It's got humor in it, but it's a scary movie, and it's
Is it before or after the Paris one? Is that a movie?
Before.
That's a movie, right? American Werewolf in Paris or something like that?
You could be thinking of An American in Paris, which is
maybe
which is a jazz number. But no, An American Werewolf in London, as far as I know, is the only movie of that. And it was one of the John Landis was, at the time, he was an amazing director, but he got blacklisted because when he directed a couple of Twilight Zone episodes, one actor was killed beheaded by helicopter blades,
Oh,
and a child was
my
killed on set.
God.
Yeah, and it was one of those, he broke like all safety protocols type of thing.
Yeah.
Like they shouldn't have been shooting. This child shouldn't have been on set. They were past hours, all that stuff that they shouldn't have been doing. And an accident happened, and an actor was beheaded and a child was killed. I don't remember
Wow.
how the child was killed, but
Well,
so
it
it was
doesn't
after
matter.
that, like,
See
so
ya.
anyway, yeah.
American Werewolf in Paris was 1997.
Okay, so
London
American
was
Wolf in London was
1981. So
first.
much,
Yeah.
yes, way
All
first.
right, all right. I didn't
But it
mean to
does
mock.
exist.
It does exist. Okay.
Okay, so
Judgy,
yes, so
judgy,
they talk to
judgy.
Madison. Her neighbor Glenn is there. It's a little awkward, wearing like a Mission Christian Church t-shirt or something like that.
Right? Another gorgeous apartment, by the way.
Yes. Turns out that she was that guy. His name was Nate, his assistant for like 2 years. Very funny moment where she was like, I mean, he was fine. He did hit on everything within a 5 mile radius. And Dean had like the dumbest face on. He was just like,
Like me?
yeah. And Sam was like, yeah, I can understand that.
Exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
But, she was like, he's pretty harmless. He didn't really have any enemies except my ex-boyfriend who came in and punched him in the face unannounced.
All right. Yep. And then ended up stalking me.
Yes. Turns out he's the creepy guy that she saw at the bar.
And so the boys decide that they need to go check out the ex-boyfriend just for safety's sake, if anything,
Right.
and also because, if you were a werewolf and you punched this guy in the face, you probably came back and ate his heart.
Yep, he's like suspect number 1, I would say, at this point. The camera stays on her for a while. She's back in her apartment. She hears like a dog barking outside, peers out the window and sees creeping Kurt. Kurt was his name, I think.
Kurt, Kurt.
Sees him and like she kind of backs away for a second, goes back to look again, and he's gone. He's really good at this disappearing act thing. Where
Right,
he's just
appear,
like there,
disappear, yeah.
and then 2 seconds
I'm gonna
later
glare at
he's
you
gone.
and then disappear.
Yeah. The boys are at his apartment, searching around like they broke in.
But it's like while they're in there, it looks like the camera gives you the impression that there's something watching them. Because it kind of has this weird, like, I call it watery. It's kind of a watery look to, it's not just a straight camera shot. There's like there's some effect happening that makes it look like something's watching them.
Yeah. It's like from a point of view of somebody or something, but also has like if you had like contacts in or something, and it was distorting the vision somehow.
Yeah, a little bit. It wasn't clear.
So after they look around a little bit, Dean hears a noise outside, like a crash or screech or something, goes out the window and sees these giant, deep claw marks trailing down the wall, like from his little balcony.
From like second or third story. It's like,
like this wolf parkoured from the balcony onto the wall and just like drug itself down.
They're like, clue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Out on the street now, there's a cop who is hearing the same crash that the boys heard and is like, hey, what's going on out here? And you hear a noise and then you see that same POV, that same point of view look, like something's like looking at the cop and it's not a person. And then you hear like, rawr, animal gurrs and snarls, and the cop kind of screams, and you assume the cop is now fighting with, or if not being, dismembered by a wolf.
Right. Since the boys upstairs, they hear a gunshot from downstairs while they're looking, and then they rush down there, guns ablaze. They're just out, I guess not really ablaze, but they go searching, and behind the dumpster, they find said cop, indeed, pretty almost dismembered or slashed and thrashed, just like the guy from the opening was.
Holy bloody mess. Yep. So they're like, we got to go check on Maddie.
Yes, because it's safe to assume that Kurt is Cujo.
Cujo, right.
Which I have not seen. I have not seen that movie, but I was aware of the reference.
Yes. Yeah. Put it on your list. It's actually not a good movie, but we can put it on our list so that we can understand our references. I mean, if you don't know Cujo, even if you haven't seen the movie or read the book, you know what the reference is.
Right.
You know,
I've read a Goosebumps book that was basically Cujo.
Okay.
So.
Good dog goes bad.
Yeah. So yes, they go back to check on Madison. Glenn is also there. He opens the door instead of Madison, or his own door. It's like, hey, everything all right? He's like that Snoopy neighbor.
That
That's
neighbor.
Always,
yes, who hears you just walking down the hall.
Yeah. Okay, Madison, let's just go inside and talk about it. They ask if Kurt had been there, and she's like, well, I mean, not really. He was outside my window for a creepy moment, but... And so now they have a plan of, it's like, okay, well, one of us needs to shadow him, and one of us needs to stay here with you as
protection,
as yes. Cops will sometimes do.
Yay. And Dean's like, okay, bye. I'll stay with the hot chick. You go chase down the dog. Mm-hmm. And Sam's like, why do you always get to stay with the hot girl? And Sam's like, Dean's like, because I'm the older brother. Now get going. And Sam says, no, we're not doing it that way. And I love this. So then they do rock, paper, scissors to decide who gets to stay with the girl.
The first time they ever do rock, paper, scissors. This will not the last time.
Not the last. Oh my gosh. So they do rock, paper, scissors, and Dean chooses scissors. And Sam's like, always with the scissors. Yes. I'm always going to win because always with the scissors. This comes up to another outtake. This episode riddled with outtakes. The blooper reel was mostly from this episode. It's a funny little outtake. It's really quick where they do the boom, 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 scissors, boom, boom, boom. But one of them made a mistake and chose the wrong the wrong thing to do. And they went to go back and do it again, but the other person wasn't on board with where they were in the lines and it just turned into this. No, you were supposed to do rock. No, you were supposed to do scissors. No, now they're fighting about. In the meantime, everyone offset is like, just take it from whatever. They're like, shut up, we got this. So Dean has to leave and chase down the dog.
Yes, because he chooses scissors twice. He wants to do 2 out of 3, and then he does scissors again. Yeah. Sam is just like, well, bundle up out there, buddy. It's cold. Sorry.
Yep. I get to stay with the hot chick. Yep.
He's not nearly as good as Dean at this, though, because he's so awkward there, sitting at the kitchen table with Madison. Gosh. And she's just kind of like, I'll wait.
Play the game.
Yeah.
Yep. So you're not going to talk to me. You're not going to, all right, I'll just go about my everyday.
Right.
Then.
You want to sit on the couch? No? Okay. No. I'll just bring out my basket of my panty collection and start folding it right in front of you.
Boop. Boop. And she even has that face like, yep, this is just what I'm going to do.
That was a good move.
Good move. So he's like, excuse me, I think I will go sit on the couch away from your delectable panties. And then, but even sitting on the couch, he's like,
poor guy.
No, can't think of anything to say. He wants to. He wants to say something, but he just can't. In the meantime, Maddie had told Dean that Kurt used to work at a body shop. So Dean went off to the body shop to see if he could find Kurt there. He's not there, but one of the guys at the body shop is like, yeah, he hasn't been here for a while, but if he's not here, I know where he would be, So Dean's like, all right, I'll go where he would be. Back at Maddie's fabulous apartment, Maddie just takes things into her own hands and sits on the couch. And she's like, fine, if you're going to be here, I'm going to watch my shows and you're just going to have to deal with it.
Suck it up. Yep.
And so she clicks on her soaps and starts watching her soaps, which I love. I'm not familiar with All My Children, but apparently that's what they were watching.
Yeah, I had to look it up because I was like, is this are they watching the one that Jensen used to be on? Is that like
that's
a little mini internal call out? It's not, but
no. But apparently it was a story arc that we should have been familiar with because it was kind of,
Yeah, I do like that it was a real story arc within a real soap opera. It wasn't like a fake one.
Yeah, real couples, real storyline,
who's
who's cheating on who and what a jerk. I can't believe that And
Yes,
it
they do the
totally
whole trope where like the guy is like totally not interested in the soap opera, but then by the end of the episode, Sam's like totally into it, asking questions. He's like, "Oh my
yeah.
God, what?"
And then totally hooked on it the same way girls get, which is like, I can't believe he cheated on her. What a jerk.
Yeah.
Maddie jumps on that. She's like, aha, now this is your favorite show, isn't it?
So, like, he's finally loosened up around Madison, after, like, joking around about the soap opera. And he takes it upon himself to finally start a conversation with her. And he's asking about Kurt. He's like, "You don't seem like the type of girl that would be, like, with that type of guy." And she's like, "Yeah. I mean, it's not like he came in with a resume that said he was, violent.
Punch somebody in the face.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I was just too insecure to leave him. But then one day I got mugged, which kind of changed my life for the better because I finally started to take control of the bad things that were happening in my life.
Yeah.
And they have this really cute moment where it seems like, "You're really unusual," which is like a weird compliment to give.
Yeah.
Not
but he's
good
smitten.
At this. He is. I mean, it's cute. He's like, "I don't mean like crazy unusual, but you're really impressive."
It's like what we were saying in the beginning,
Yeah.
She's her own person. She's cool. She's pretty.
She's sassy and sarcastic. She's like, "What? Doesn't everybody think that an act of random violence is the best thing that ever happened to them?"
Right?
Very just cute.
So smitten kitten.
Yes,
Sam.
but before then, Dean rudely interrupts. Not that he knows what's going on, but he rudely interrupts.
He calls by calling and saying, "Hey, I've tracked him down. I'm working on, keeping an eye on him." Yeah, and Sam's like, "All right, well, keep watch." And Dean's like, "All right, no worries, I will." And of course, as the camera pulls back, Dean is at a strip club and there's a girl, dancing in front of him. And he's like, "Yep, I'm going to keep watching." But on the other side of the bar is Kurt also watching.
Yes. So lucky Dean. He fared well in this bet, I think.
Yes. Costing him a little bit of money because he does donate to the cause.
Yes.
But he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm on him." So back at the apartment, Maddie's like, "All right, well, nothing's happening. I'm just gonna go to bed. You sit here on the couch."
Yeah, she's kind of like she wants to invite him in, I think, but doesn't actually want to put that out there and say like, "Hey, will you?
Hey,
I'll leave the door open for you."
Right.
I think she's maybe hoping he will take the bait, and he doesn't. He's just like, "Okay, well, I'll be out here.
I'll be out here, standing guard."
Yep. If you need anything, just call out and I'll be here.
So Dean has followed Kurt back to his apartment, back to the claw marks apartment, and is just in the alley outside, kind of looking up into the windows, and he hears like a window being smashed.
Yeah, he looks down for like 5 seconds to like check his gun. He's like making sure his gun's loaded, and he does that. And while he's looking down, that's when the window smashes, and he's like, "Oh shit!" Like he totally did not see what came into the window. What
actually happened, right? Yeah. So he goes running up the stairs, kicks in the door, and sees Kurt a bloody mess on the floor, and somebody's on top of him, and it's Maddie, and she is growling and snarling, and she looks up at Dean and does that total horror movie, claws out, teeth, fangs bared, her eyes are like ice blue or something, and she just does it like and then she attacks Dean. She jumps on Dean, knocks the gun out of his hand, and he's able to grab his silver boot knife and slash her, and she hisses at him and runs and jumps out the window and runs away. But in the process, Dean, she knocked him pretty hard, and he like passes out after he's able to slash her. So she jumps out the window, but Dean doesn't chase her because he blacks out.
Yep.
Next morning, I'm assuming, or later that same.
Right. I would say a few hours later-ish, Sam receives a call from Dean, being like, "Well, Kurt's dead because he was killed by the werewolf, and it's Madison. So good job."
Yeah, it's like all you had to do was watch her, and Sam's like, "What?" And he goes and he looks in the bedroom, and she's like curled up in bed, all comfy, cozy, snoozy. And he's like, "What are you talking about? She's right here. She never left the apartment." And Dean says, okay, I slashed her, I slashed her on her arm, can't miss that.
Mhm.
And sure enough, Sam sees as Madison wakes up and she's like, oh my God, where are my pajamas? Because now she's naked in bed.
Yeah. Yeah.
She thinks that Sam has done something to her. Like, why am I naked? But then Sam sees on her naked arm, a slash
Mhm.
from Dean's silver blade.
Yeah.
And he's like, ruh-roh. If only he said ruh-roh.
No. Instead, he goes to the apartment door, locks it, takes out his, I don't know, remember if he takes out his gun. I am
Gun.
assuming
He
he
takes
does.
out his gun. Yep.
And she runs up. She's like, "What's wrong? What's going on?" And he's like, where are you going?" And she's like, "Neither of us are leaving
Not
this
going
apartment."
anywhere. Yep.
Yeah. And then we cut to later on. She's been dressed. He's tied her to a chair, and she's sitting there pleading for him to let her go, and also being like, "I was so stupid. How could I believe like the detective
You're
thing?"
crazy.
Which, fair enough. She never really did check for ID. She just kind of, that's a lesson for everyone out
Yep.
there. Always
Yep.
check ID. Make sure that they're actual cops. Because from her point, like when I was watching the scene, and like from her point of view, I could totally see how crazy this all sounded. Because he's like, "I'm doing this to
Absolutely.
protect you, and you're a monster." And she's like,
Right.
"You're fucking crazy."
You're crazy. You've
Yeah.
tied me to a chair. You've got a gun.
You're calling me a werewolf? What the hell is your problem? Like,
Right.
I
And
woke
she
up
keeps saying,
naked,
yeah. And she keeps saying, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't
Yeah.
remember you. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I don't know how I got this cut on my arm. Monsters aren't
Yep.
real.
She says she doesn't know. And Sam doesn't want to believe she's evil. Sam, like Dean,
Well,
Dean shows up.
Dean arrives, and then Sam pulls
And,
him aside. It's like, "Listen, she's telling me she doesn't remember anything, and I think that she's telling the truth."
right. Because he wants to believe she's not evil. Because Dean's like, come on, she did it. You see the proof.
Mm-hmm.
But Dean's like, well, maybe she doesn't remember. Maybe when the wolf happens, it takes over and she doesn't remember. She's not doing this willingly. I mean, Sam
Yeah.
wants to believe that she is a good person,
Yeah.
that she's not evil. She just has this thing.
Yes,
And,
because, that's what they've been saying about me, too. I'm
Yep,
supposed to
it's
be evil,
inside me.
too.
Yep. But look at me. Yeah. And so now he's grasping. He's like, okay, what do we know about werewolves?
Mhm.
Maybe we can sever the bloodlines. Like maybe if she was only bitten recently, we can find the werewolf that bit her, kill that werewolf, sever the
Yes.
bloodlines, and she'll, stop wolfing. She'll stop being a werewolf.
Yes. Because they bust out Dad's journal. Dad had a theory about that, apparently.
Right. So it's kind of like vampires. If you kill the head vampire, the one that turned everybody, then all the vampires go back. That was a Buffy thing. That if you killed the master, all the vampires that they turned go back. I swear that's one of the things.
No.
It's not?
Buffy? No.
I could have sworn that if
they killed the master, they killed the master in Buffy, and there's still vampires there. The master made Darla, right? Darla was still a vampire, and Darla made Angel.
I swear to God, this is coming from something. Oh, well, maybe I was thinking of werewolves. That if you killed the first werewolf,
you might have been
you,
thinking about that. I don't, not off the top of my head, and I've read a lot of vampires. Okay. Speaking of.
Yes, I'm surprised we haven't talked since then.
No, we haven't talked since then. I was totally going to open with it too because I wanted to make a little tribute to her. But this is adjacent. Werewolves are definitely adjacent to vampires. Yes. But a very, very heartfelt rest in peace to Miss Anne Rice.
Anne Rice, yep.
The queen of vampire fame.
Yeah, I thought
that was really sad.
I saw that headline.
Yeah,
I was like, oh no. Yep. I didn't realize that she was, I don't want to say that old, but I didn't realize that she was.
I didn't either.
That the books were that old.
She was like 87. I was like, holy crap.
Right?
Well, the books are not. The books, I think, were written in, like the most famous ones anyway, were written in the 80s, I think, 80s. Or maybe the late 70s. So, but still, I did not realize that she was in her 80s.
In her 80s, exactly.
So it's a very, like, long life, well-lived.
Yes, definitely rest in peace. So,
as Kevin Smith would say, a big bucket of win for Anne Rice. But
oh, nice.
Anyway, back
So
to werewolves in
go
Madison.
back to werewolves. They're trying to think back to if they're going with the idea that if they kill the first werewolf, then she'll be okay. So they're trying to think back to when she would have been bitten.
Right.
Um,
And then Sam
and
remembers that she said she was mugged. So then they go back to interrogate her.
and so she's like, "Yeah, how did you know I was bitten?" You know?
Yeah, they guess.
So
It's like, did he bite you? It's like,
did he bite
how
you?
did you
Yeah.
know?
And they look at the back of her neck, and sure enough, there's a bite mark on the back of her neck. And Dean's like, "Oh, it's a love bite."
Yeah.
I was like, well, okay. I mean, it didn't kill her, but it did.
Read the room, Dean.
Yeah, exactly.
But they also
But
guessed that she was near Hunter's Point when she was mugged / bitten,
is where
because
yep.
earlier they established that all of the other bodies who were female, like hookers,
Yep.
were all killed by Hunter's
In that
Point.
area.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's still and it was that lunar cycle when it happened. So
Yeah.
they're just piecing, little bits together, and they're like, you must have been bitten then when you got mugged.
Right, right.
So they decide that Sam will stay and watch Maddie. She's still tied to the chair.
Well, Sam pleads with Dean, just please go and just at least look for this werewolf.
This other werewolf, okay.
Like, because Dean's kind of skeptical. He's like, who knows if if it was even then, if that werewolf was still even out there. And Sam is just so desperate to save this girl. And again, he mentioned, I think Dean recognizes in Sam the need to, save this, protect her, but also recognize that she is not inherently evil. She doesn't mean to be evil, just like he's not trying to be evil, even though people say he is. Because Dean doesn't argue. Like
he doesn't.
At one point, he just kind of says, "Okay,
because you want this, yeah, we'll do this." Yeah, I mean, he literally takes a big step back from the black and white Dean.
Yeah.
Of kill it.
Yeah.
Kill it. And and it's all because of Sam. It's because he's being empathetic with Sam. He sees how Sam feels about this. Given that other times he's been like, I don't care what Sam says. This is how it's going to go.
Right.
This time he sees something in Sam.
Yeah.
And is willing to say, okay. But as he's leaving, he says, I'll leave, but you have to promise that if she turns, you kill her.
Yeah.
And Sam reluctantly promises.
Yeah.
That if she turns and if she doesn't kill me in the process.
Just like, I'll do what I need to do.
Yeah.
I will, but I want to do everything that we can first.
So in the meantime, Dean leaves, and now Maddie is pleading with Sam to just let her go. Like, she still thinks there's a little bit of cray-cray happening there. And so
I mean, and who wouldn't?
Him.
Who wouldn't?
Right? Right. But out comes, like, bedside Sam, the caring, empathetic, sympathetic Sam. And he's like, if things don't go well, I'll untie you. Or no, he says, if things go well, I will untie you and I'll walk out this door and you will never see me again. Like, that's it. I'm not here to do harm to you. When this is over, I'm gone. I'm out of your life and you get to go on. And he says it in his, bedside Sam manner.
Yes, but I still feel like if I were in Madison's position, not knowing what they said behind those closed doors and not knowing what these boys do, because he was just like, listen, I know that you're scared and I know that you'll never believe me, but I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this to protect you. And if things go well, I promise I'll untie you. To me, it was just like, man, that's creepy.
No, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. But it's still Sam trying to be.
It is.
Sympathetic Sam.
Yeah. Even when he knows he's coming off as psychotic, he's still just like, I have to be this person. Can't help it. It's in my DNA.
Right. So I mean, I appreciate that. I mean, can you imagine though what Sam's trying to go through? It's like he wants to be the hero, but clearly him being the hero is terrifying her.
Yes.
Yes. On the city streets, talk about a trope. There's a blonde girl walking down the streets down an alley by herself. She's dressed somewhat scantily, not inappropriate, but just she's dressed as a type. She's got the
see,
short
I thought
skirt, she's got the heels,
yeah,
she's got
well,
the
I thought
fuzzy.
because they did mention earlier that they were all hookers that were
Yes.
found dead, that
Yes.
she was supposed to be a hooker.
She's supposed to be a hooker. I just don't like making those assumptions. I mean, you cannot have theater, films, TV shows without character types, because
Right.
otherwise you don't know who people are.
Right.
By the way they dress, by the way their hair is done. Yes, she's a prostitute and she's walking down an alley by herself. And it's that, the wind is blowing and
Yeah,
she's not.
the fog is going.
The fog, yes, exactly. And she starts to hear the sounds of, am I being followed? And starts to walk a little bit faster in her heels, and now she's running scared, and she is attacked by the beast. Something jumps on her, and the snarling and the barking.
Because you hear a wolf howl in the distance. Yes. And then you also see the wolf vision camera like going on, like chasing up on her. Yep. And it finally does grab her and bring her down, and she like starts screaming and starts to get pulled away.
Dragged. Choosed. Yep.
Yes.
Dean appears, as the hero does, shoots the beast, and the blonde runs away, and he's like, "You're welcome."
Yeah.
So he's still pretty sarcastic, Dean.
Yes.
But as he goes up to the werewolf that he just shot, and you see it start to change back into its human form, and it's Glenn.
Yeah.
It's Glenn, and he's not dead. He's dying, but he's not dead. And he's scared and he's confused. He's like, what's happening? What's going on? And I think Dean sees that it really is that the person really doesn't have any idea what the wolf is doing when they're a werewolf.
Yeah.
And he actually reaches out to Glenn. He's like, it's okay. It's going to be okay. Yeah. You're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And trying to comfort Glenn.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Glenn dies.
Yeah. Yes. And you can see this look of guilt on Dean's face too.
Yeah. He's affected.
He's like, oh.
Yeah, he's affected by it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
but
back at the
while all this is happening, Sam is looking out the window at this big, beautiful, gorgeous full moon. And then behind him, I guess, the sleeping Madison does in fact start to change. Her fingernails grow into gross long claws.
Gross long points.
Her eyeballs change color. She very easily rips herself away from the chair and attacks Sam, slashes him across the face.
Yep.
He kind of struggles to get away. He almost shoots her.
Yeah, he has his gun out, almost shoots her.
But then leads her into the closet.
Yeah, is able to duck at the last second, and she flings herself into the closet, and he shuts the door and locks her in.
Yeah.
As one does with a werewolf.
Right.
So come the next morning, Maddie wakes up in the closet, and she's looking around inside the closet, and it is just clawed to hell. I mean,
yeah.
I was gonna ask you, did you ever, before you moved out of the apartment, the final walkthrough, did you look at your bedroom door?
Yeah.
Yes. Because there were claw marks.
I know.
And that's dogs. What I thought when I saw all the claw marks inside the closet. I was like, oh. What did the landlord say when he saw the claw marks? But that's what dogs do. If they accidentally get locked in a room, or if you're not
they just
want
to get inside.
Claw. Yep.
Let me in.
What were you thinking? I'm right here.
Yeah.
But this closet was 1,000 times worse than your door in the apartment.
Yes.
Poor Marvel. But she sees all these claw marks, and she's looking around, and I think she realizes that.
When she also sees Sam's face, he's got big gouge marks across his face, and because he's the one that opens the door, wakes her up, and it's All right. Well,
It's morning. Yeah.
yeah, I told you you'll never see me again. I'm out of here.
Yeah. And he leaves. He leaves. And so the next thing we see is Sam and Dean in the Impala, not really having a heart to heart, but, Dean actually says, so you liked her.
Yeah, yeah. They were speculating why Glenn decided to turn her instead of attack her.
Yeah.
It was like, well, maybe subconscious, maybe his primal self also had a thing for her because he kind of looks like you had a thing for her too.
Yeah.
He's a slightly pokey older brother, but
Yeah, but
not
he
too
eased back
annoying.
on it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he was like, you actually liked her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So while they're having their discussion, Maddie comes up and knocks on the window of the Impala, and she's like, you guys, if you're stalking me, this is a pretty, conspicuous car to be
Yeah.
sitting in, And they're like, oh, well, we just were, making sure.
Yeah.
Because
pretty sure you're not gonna turn, but just in case.
in case, you might actually be a killer.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, it's just come inside. If you're gonna watch me, you might as well just come inside.
Yeah.
Like there's a level of acceptance here.
Yeah.
And the boys are like, all right.
But yeah, you're right. A level of acceptance that's oddly high. Like she's just kind of like, oh, I guess you were right. I am a werewolf. Like that was like the one thing about this, and I get it. It was probably for time's sake, but there wasn't a lot of like denial going on of like, no, this can't be happening. This isn't real.
Right.
What's going on? She was just like, oh, I guess you're right. Considering my closet and your face is all torn up.
Right. Exactly.
I get it. It's good evidence, but
yeah. So they take the party upstairs.
Well, like her and Sam like have a moment. I can't quite remember what they say, but I do remember them staring like very lusciously at each other. And Dean is just there in the middle. He's very aware. He's the third wheel.
Yes.
And he's like, okay, well, since we've got a few hours to kill, let's like play some poker or something.
Let's do something. Yep. And that's right, because they're gonna wait for sunup.
Yes.
Because they're like, well, how do we know? Like, do we wait for the moon to come up?
Yeah.
And Sam says, well, no, because you didn't turn until well after the moon.
Yeah, it was like midnight
was
or so.
Yeah, so we need to just wait until probably sunup. So they're like, okay, what do we do? What do we do to pass the time until then?
Yeah.
And it's so funny because
Dean's answer is to threateningly put his gun on the table like behind them. He's like, oh, no, don't mind me.
Don't mind me.
Go ahead.
Conk.
Yes.
Right. And both Sam and Maddie, who are sitting on the couch, like turn and look at this like weapon now that's, even though it's behind them, it's between them. Yeah. Very subtle.
So it was obviously a very tense night. But the sun does indeed rise, and she is still the beautiful Madison that she is, unwolfed. And they're like, yay!
Outtake. I'm just going to insert. Here's an outtake.
Jesus, there were a lot of outtakes.
I told you. There's a lot of outtakes. The sun didn't rise. Whatever lighting effect they were waiting for to like bring up sun on their faces and stuff, it didn't happen. So they're standing there. The three of them are in the window frame, looking out, waiting for the sun to rise. They're like, look, the sun is up. The sun doesn't rise. So they're standing there and they're like, the sun didn't rise. So what do we do? There's no sun. There's no sun. The sun didn't rise. So technical difficulties. I've done that. That's that whole, standby lights and lights go.
Oh, yeah.
Lights go. Hello.
Yeah.
But it's just the three of them just cracked up. They're like, there's no sun. There's no sun. We're supposed to be acting. There's no sun. So the sun rises and they're like, all right, that's it. You're good. Yeah. And Dean leaves. Dean's like, so I'm going to leave you two I'm going to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys got something that I'm just going to go.
Yeah. Not subtle at all. Because it doesn't even like put a fist up in the air a la, what's that guy from the Breakfast Club? Kind of a little bit.
Yeah. Well, breakfast, that's good enough. And the Breakfast Club, fist up in the air, rock on. Yes. And even Madison is like, not cool.
Yeah.
She's like subtle.
Yeah.
She
He thinks
thinks
you're gonna get laid right
you're gonna
now.
get laid. Yes, exactly. But
Maybe
they
they
both
could. Maybe
wanted.
they do. Yeah.
Maybe they do. They both wanted to be alone, and they jump
Brown
on it.
chicken,
They
brown
have a
cow,
brown
brown
chicken.
chicken,
They have
brown
a
cow.
Sam and Maddie jump on each other, and it's a pretty awesome sex scene.
Yes.
Not over
There's
the top,
No, there's a
but
lot of rolling around. I was just like, okay. There's like a lot of movement.
there's a lot of changing positions.
Yes.
But I think it was to work those beautiful covers into whatever they were doing, because she has a fabulous bed.
And you had to have that nice little
chest moment.
Oh,
we had to see his pets.
We have to see shirtless Sam. We have to.
Yes, and we did.
It's
Cuddle
kind of
sleepy
cheesy.
time.
Yeah.
Like this is.
It started
wasn't
off,
just
I was
sexual
like,
tension.
yes, Sam. Yes. Here we go.
Finally, take control.
Yes, and then it was just like, okay. I mean,
oh, look at that. They're cuddling.
All right, they're just smooching a lot. Okay. All right. And it's a nice little cuddle scene where they're like they fell asleep in each other's arms by a nice cozy fireplace, and it's very
right.
sweet.
When did they light the fire?
Oh no. Well, apparently a whole day had passed, because then it was like all of a sudden the moon had risen and Sam awoke to Madison, who is back.
Madison, who is a wolf.
Yeah.
And she's like on him, but like, arr! But she leaves.
Yeah, she jumps out the window. Yeah.
She chooses to not maul him to death,
Yes.
to jump out the window and potentially go kill someone else. And Sam goes to find Dean. And he's like, oh my God, she turned. She turned. And he's so desperate, and he's so sad at the same time.
Yeah.
And Dean's not a jerk. He's like,
no,
we're going to find her.
Yeah.
He's like, we're going to find her. And he doesn't say we're going to find her and put a bullet in her. He's like, we're going to find her.
Yeah.
Let's go find Madison together.
Yeah.
Oh no, he says, we will find her, Sammy. And my heart went click.
Yeah, I know.
It's just that brother he sees the connection that Sam has with this girl.
Yes.
And he's like, we'll find her, Sammy. And I was like, oh God, yes. Kills me. So clearly their plan didn't work.
Yes, because they even they called Bobby, and he even confirmed, it's like, no, severing the bloodline doesn't work. And they speculate maybe she has to be asleep in order to turn wolfy, because she definitely didn't turn the night that they kept watch over her. She was asleep in the chair when she turned the night before, and she was obviously asleep there next to Sam when she turned just then.
Yeah. But Dean is like, at this point, it doesn't matter. We have to kill her, because she's just going to keep turning, and she's going to keep killing.
Yeah.
He said, because nobody has the answer. This is all questions. Yeah. What if, maybe this, maybe that. And Dean's like, the only answer is to kill her.
Yeah.
Part of her, even not, if not all of her, a part of her is evil. A part of her is the werewolf. And of course, Sam has to say, you mean like me? Part of me is evil.
Yeah. 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 Because he's like, so you're not willing to kill me, but like with her, you're just like ready to shoot her through the heart.
Yep. And that's when Maddie calls.
Yes. Yes. She's lost. She doesn't know where she is. She gives them like
she sees a street sign or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, she's calling from a payphone. Yeah. Who knows what a payphone is?
Right.
And she's naked in a public payphone. Doesn't know how she got there, but they find her because she found a street. The boys find her, and they tell her the truth. There is no cure. They tell her the truth that they've come to.
Dean tells her the truth. Sam is trying to sugarcoat it. He's like, we'll find a way. We're going to keep researching. And Dean says, no, you can't do that this time.
Yeah. There's no
She
cure.
deserves to know the truth.
Yeah. And all three of them are pretty bummed out by this. Yeah. It's not Dean being like, gotta kill her. It's him being matter of fact, but really bummed out about it. Sam being heartbroken about it. And Maddie being like, okay, because I don't want to kill. Like, did I kill somebody? Did I hurt somebody tonight? I don't know. And I don't want to be that thing that kills people. Yeah. Even if I don't remember it. And so at this point, I just want to say, I stopped writing notes. I stopped taking notes because I just wanted to watch. And when I watched
Yeah.
it the second time, I was like, I'm not taking notes. I'm just going to watch because I
Yeah.
just had to have, the first time I watched it, I saw what happened and I was confused. I'll
Mhm.
just say I was confused. So when I watched it the second time for taking notes, I was like, and I got to this point and I knew what was going to happen. I was like, I put my notebook down and I stopped taking notes and I just
Mm.
watched it.
Yeah. Well, I guess you could say she accepts her fate. Like you said, she's not happy about it. And she grabs the gun and she goes to Sam. She wants him to do the deed. She's like, I can't do this myself. I don't want to die. Like, I definitely don't want to die, but I also can't live this way. Like,
I don't want to kill people.
yeah. Even though, because Dean even suggests the Buffy way of just like, we could
Yes,
like
the
lock you
lock
up
her
every
up.
night, but you
Yep.
could escape and someone will die if you
Yeah.
escape. You know, that's kind of your MO. Someone will die every night that you turn, I guess it's for a week. She doesn't want to live that way, and she wants Sam to do it. He doesn't. He can't. And they just kind of stand there staring at each other, crying, and Dean takes it upon himself to take the knife from Madison's hand because Sam won't take it. Sam walks away, Dean walks away, and Madison is left there in her bedroom. Well, they go off. This scene was so heartbreaking because Sam
Well,
is like like hyperventilating, kind of crying, just like the broken-hearted. I can't believe that I have to do this.
yeah. Well, and Dean says, then let me. Like,
Yeah.
I'll take this one. I'll take this
Yes.
one.
Yes.
I'm the unspoken is I'm the one who kills. So let me take this burden
Yeah.
for you so you don't have
Yeah.
to do this.
Yeah.
Which I thought spoke volumes about
Mhm.
Dean. He may be
Yeah.
the killer, the black and white guy in the family, but he's willing to take that burden on for Sam.
Right. And he
He's
wasn't
not
saying
just a
it to
killing
be like, "Oh, I'll
machine.
just kill it. I'll kill it."
No,
It's just like,
he
no,
was trying to save Sam the
from
anguish.
having to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And Sam doesn't let him. He's like, no, you can't do this. This is something I guess I have to do.
She
Um,
she asked me to do it. She wants me to do it, and I need to do it.
that I read this, these are somebody else's words.
Yeah.
This episode and these moments show the devastating personal toll that
Yeah.
Dean and Sam go through, like as hunters.
Mhm.
Devastating personal toll. They're not just out there shooting things or, driving stakes through the hearts of things. There's a personal sacrifice that they willingly put themselves through.
Yeah.
And they take a chance of getting attached to somebody. They didn't
Mhm.
mean to. They don't go into
Yeah.
these circumstances thinking, hey, I want to fall in love with this person. It's
Right.
but the things that you don't see that like that's part of their relationship is a shared tragedy.
Mhm.
Not just their mom, not just their dad. They're sharing the burdens of each brother's traumas and tragedies is so I just wrote that devastating personal toll. That's
Yeah.
what this episode is.
Yeah.
So Sam is crying. He takes the gun, giant gun, from
Mhm.
Dean and walks out of frame.
This song playing in the background. I don't know what it is,
It's
but it's a very
Queensryche.
Yeah, Queensryche something.
It's Silent Lucidity is the name of the song. Silent
Mhm.
Lucidity by
It's
Queensryche.
but it's lilting. It's sad. It's got
It's another, the composer, audio department just matched the song perfectly for the
right,
mood of what's happening.
right, right.
And as the song starts playing and Sam walks out of frame, the camera cuts to Dean and Dean starts crying. You just see like a single tear or two just like pour out of one eye.
Yeah.
And you're looking at Dean and then you hear bang. And you see Dean's face like
He flinches.
He flinches. He absolutely flinches. Blackout. End of episode.
The song stops at the gunshot.
And that's why I was like, wait, what? There's no, I thought there was going to be a wrap up,
Oh.
a drive off, a happy ending. Maybe we didn't have to. There was something that I was like, wait, what? This isn't
Mhm.
how this episode ends. He didn't actually kill her. I didn't remember that happening.
Oh.
So when I saw it that first time I was doing the rewatch, I was like, wait, I did the whole open mouth, wide open, eyes. I was like, no.
Yeah.
And so when we had to go back and watch it again for the notes, that's why I was like,
Uh-huh.
I cannot take notes on the scene. I just need to watch it and have it happen again
Yeah, yeah.
because it was heartbreaking. I
Oh my
told you,
God.
I was like, this episode wrecked me.
Yeah.
It was,
Mhm.
I didn't see it. I honestly didn't see it coming. I didn't remember that she actually dies. I thought there was a last minute solution to it. I totally forgot that
Yeah.
he actually kills her.
Yeah. I remembered it because I remember he had such a connection with her. That's like one of the few girls that Sam actually
Yeah.
I mean, gets to chase, so to speak, but
Right.
then they
He actually
actually
got the
do.
girl. Yeah.
Right, he
Yeah.
got the girl, and it was actually a really good match, and he really cared for her, and she was super cool, and I remember him having
Yep.
to do that. I remember this face that he made when he looked at Dean and then walked out of frame, and then you heard the gunshot. It's a very vivid memory of when I first watched this episode because I was like you. I was like, "What? No.
No.
No way."
Go ahead, wrap it up.
Okay. All right. Well, it was super sad, and I never want to watch it again.
We tried. Okay. So yeah, end of episode, blackout credits, and I felt so devastated. For Dean,
Yeah.
Dean having going, oh my God, my brother just had to do that, and then for Sam who just had
Had to do that. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Especially because
And
this is like well, I guess he did have a little bit of a connection with that art gallery chick in season 1.
yeah, but
But
he chose to walk away from it.
yes.
And
in
I mean,
this
she
one,
was a cool chick, but
she was. And in this one, definitely the first like very good connection he's had since Jess, who he like took forever to get over. And
right.
now it's like he gets to kind of start again. He gets to live a little bit, and
Yeah.
and now he has to kill her. The same, I'm sure he feels the same. Like I also killed Jess, like in kind of a backward way.
Right. But this was someone he had to look at face to face,
yes,
and point a gun at her heart and kill her.
Yeah.
Unreal. And so well done. So well done. And I read a couple of like interviews about how they did this episode. And Jared was so Stanislavski method, which is, everyone says, oh, you're so method. They're talking about the Stanislavski method, which is trying to recall a personal event to help you associate this current event. So draw on something personal that you can then equate into the scene you're doing.
Yeah. Think of something sad in your life in order to get sad.
Right.
For this,
and
for instance.
Yeah. And so Jared pulled on the experience of, at the time he had a dog. He had a family dog, and he didn't shoot his dog, but he pulled on like, what if I had to? Right. What if I had to, for no reason, kill my dog?
Yeah.
And not like put my dog down, but actually shoot my dog. And he's like, that's what had him, was him just thinking about the heartbreak of having to do that to, this beloved animal. And, us being, the dog people we are, I was like reading that. I was like, oh my God, I even started to think about what would I have to do? Like, what would I be like if I had to do something like that to my dog? I would probably stop breathing.
Yeah.
I just can't, I couldn't imagine. And Jensen said that in that moment, they had built such a safe environment that even the actress who was playing Maddie also was just like, it's okay. Just, safe place, do it.
Yeah.
And so Jensen crying, Dean crying was not scripted, and it wasn't intentional. He just was so overwhelmed by watching Jared go through what he went through for that scene, like what he was going through. That's why he cried. And the flinch was also unintentional.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, talk about, a connection to your working colleagues, and to be able to create that environment where you feel so safe that that type of vulnerability is acceptable and allowable.
Right.
That you felt that Jensen felt so safe that he could just be emotional in that moment, to the point where he was taken off guard when the gunshot happened.
Yeah.
That he flinched. And also for Jared, who was crying. He wasn't weeping and blubbering, but he was crying. His heart broke, and you could see that on his face.
Oh, it was real. Yeah. You could definitely see it was real crying and not like the fake juice that they put in your eyes to make it look like you've been crying.
Right. No, he was broken.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with Jensen and Jared as performers all over again. Yeah. So well done.
Very well done. Well done writing, well done directing, well done acting on both the boys and Emmanuel.
Yeah. So good. Again, season 2 just keeps getting better and better.
So, while this episode was super heartbreaking. The next one is completely the opposite of it, because I did watch the next one because
Oh, you watched it full? Okay.
I did. Like, I was just going to watch a little bit of it, but then it was so lighthearted. I was like, you know what? I think I kind of need this right now. And I finished it. So,
is this is the film, the TV set one?
Movie set,
film set? A movie set. I just remember Jensen eating taquitos. That's all I have in my head. Is you gotta try these taquitos or something like that.
It is that one.
That's all I can remember.
Or some kind of food. It's definitely a lot of Jensen eating.
I like Jensen eating.
Like, they really lay into the Jensen, Dean likes to eat.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Thing. So, but speaking of next episode, can you believe we have only 5 left of season 2? Yeah.
No, we have blown through season 2. Season 1 felt like
it took forever.
It was forever. And not in a bad way, but it was just whoa. I mean, it was like training for a marathon, and then you ran the marathon. You're like, holy crap, that was a long haul. Worth it. But this one is whoosh, flying by. There's no way we only have 5 left.
Yep.
Wow. All right. So next week, what's the name of the?
Next week it was. I never said it. Hollywood Babylon. Which, funny enough, is it's spelled differently, but it's the name of one of my favorite podcasts, or it used to be. It's not really going that much anymore, but it was a Kevin Smith podcast where him and Ralph Garman, who used to be one of the radio jocks on K-Rock in LA.
Oh, no way!
Yeah. He was part of the Kevin and Bean morning show.
I used to listen to that.
Yeah, so he was, I don't know if he had a radio name or if it was just Ralph Garman, but he did all the crazy voices because he does impressions. But him and Kevin Smith, they just talk about pop culture in a very crude way. And it was one of the first podcasts I ever listened to. But anyway, so this episode's called Hollywood Babylon.
Cool.
And it's very funny.
Wait.
I know.
I
can't wait to talk about it. Oh, yeah.
After this tragedy, I need some comedy.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in this week. Don't forget to subscribe to us, follow us, rate us on Apple Podcasts or anywhere that you can find podcasts. You can also find us on all the social media, Instagram and Facebook. We are at Salt and Burn This Pod, and Twitter we are at Salt and Burn This.
I just found out that Spotify now allows ratings.
Oh, fabulous! So you can rate us on Spotify too.
Yep.
We will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.